Hello, everybody. Good evening, or wherever you may be. It's great to have you here on If You Don't Like That. A couple of games in the books in the NBA playoffs. The Pacers go up 2-love on the Bucks. They win 123 to 115. The Thunder blow out the Grizzlies again, 118 to 99. How good did the Thunder look, huh? Wow. And the Lakers have a big lead on the Timberwolves. Luka outscored the Timberwolves in the first quarter by himself, 16 to 15. The Lakers, with 3.5 left to go in the first half, lead the Timberwolves 53 to 35. Big press conference tomorrow in Sacramento as Scott Perry will be officially introduced as the Sacramento general manager. That should be very interesting indeed. Hockey playoffs, the Battle of Ottawa. Toronto scores in overtime to beat Ottawa 3-2. They lead now that best-of-7 series 2-love. In game one in the East, the Panthers are leading the Lightning by the score of 5-2. Coming up in a couple of moments, game two of the Vegas Golden Knights and the Minnesota Wild. All right, NFL draft coming up on Thursday, and we'll talk a lot about that. I'll be doing a show tomorrow at 8 o'clock with Rhino. We'll go over Scott Perry's press conference. That's tomorrow. Coming your way, same time, 8 o'clock Pacific, right here on If You Don't Like That. One thing that is very apparent to me is the Sacramento fan base has lost all faith in the owner Vivek Ranadive. It doesn't matter what site you go to, doesn't matter where you are on social media, doesn't matter where you're living. It's the same talk, whether it's from the national media or the local fan base. There is absolutely no faith in Vivek Ranadive. Many fans telling him to sell the team. Many fans have been vile, certainly unpleasant with their comments. Whenever Vivek speaks on social media, he gets completely torched. The fan base has lost really all hope for a quote-unquote well-run, normal organization with him at the helm. That's the one thing I don't think we can debate, right? I mean, I don't think that's debatable. You can debate whether Scott Perry will be good for the Kings. You can debate whatever else you want. I don't really think you can debate that. The Sacramento fan base has lost all hope in their owner, in Vivek Ranadive. There is no hope. It's a train wreck. It's an absolute train wreck. And so Scott Perry can have a great press conference tomorrow, and he can say all the right things, and fans will get maybe re-energized until they take a step back and understand, well, you still have the same owner. So it really is a downer, isn't it? As you get ready for a new general manager in Sacramento, it's brutal. Absolutely brutal. Cody says, Grant, you're 100% right about if the Kings make Doug Christie head coach, the upcoming season will be a disaster. I believe it will, because I believe it sends the message before Scott Perry even really begins his tenure in Sacramento that he's not really in control, that the owner decided who was going to be the coach and not Scott Perry. What are the Giants going to do with their draft pick? Trading back seems like the move if they can add premium compensation. I don't know. I just hope they get a player that, after the first year we go, wow, what a finally a really good pick. He needs to be an impact player. So, we'll see. We'll see. But definitely needs to be an impact player when you're taking a pick at number 3. They had Kayvon Thibodeau 2 years ago at number 5. He's not been an impact player. You got to have an impact player when you're drafting that high. Cody wants to know, have I seen a new GM keep the former coach before? Not that I'm aware of. What are the odds that Vivek will be at the press conference tomorrow? I would say 100%. He would be the one that would introduce Scott Perry. I've never seen it done any other way. I would be very surprised. I just can't imagine him not being there. I doubt he would take questions. But Cody says 2 more days, Grant. NFL draft time. Yes, indeed. I actually find the NFL draft to be quite boring once you get past like the 10th pick. I don't get that excited over the NFL draft. I know a lot of people do. I mean, with me being a Giants fan and them having a 3rd pick, it's more interesting for me. But do you really know when they get down to 15, 20, 25, 30? Do you know all these players? Do you know everything about them? If you do, you're a true college football fan and a true draft connoisseur. I don't spend that much time trying to evaluate players coming out of the draft because most of the times the so-called experts are wrong. So what am I basing my knowledge on if I'm going by quote unquote draft experts in the way I evaluate players when they're wrong so often? It happens every year, right? Happens every year. What's Perry offense look like or his offensive style? Well, he doesn't have a style. He's the general manager. It's really the coach's style. That is true. I look forward to the draft big time. I love how everyone's mock drafts go completely off the radar. There is a lot of truth to that. As an Atlanta Hawks fan, I can't but think the Hawks and Kings are married to one another as an organization. That the Hawks and the Kings are married to one another as an organization. I don't know about that. The Hawks have actually had some decent success the last couple of years. You know, it was not that long ago they were in the Eastern Conference Finals. Comfort food, Grant. You like comfort food? How would you define comfort food? Like, how would you define that? How do you define comfort food? Oh, my God. Incredible. Here's the link if you want to call the show. Hit me up. I'll also put the QR code over my shoulder. There it is. You can scan that, and you can get in on the program as well. So give me a call right here on If You Don't Like That. I get a real kick out of some of these messages. I really do. How would you define comfort food? I've always wondered. Comfort food. Oh, my gosh. I don't know about Grant, but I bought a pint of ice cream to devour in a few minutes. Yeah, that would be comfort food. Oh, my gosh. As a fan, I think it's going to be painful to tolerate Doug Christie for years to come if he becomes the head coach. My favorite restaurant in Sacramento is Bennett's, and I go there almost every day when I'm in town. Love Bennett's. If I'm in Folsom or El Dorado Hills, I like Land Ocean. Excellent restaurant. Very good. It's a very good restaurant. Do I see a situation where Vivek would actually take a step back and let Scott Perry actually have 100% control? No. I mean, when they announced Doug Christie as coach, that's your answer right there. I feel like the Kings' undoing was signing DeMar. It threw off our chemistry, and we compounded it. We compounded the mistake after that. I don't disagree with that. Okay, here we go. A warm hug for your taste buds, Grant. Food that soothes the soul. That's comfort food. So food that soothes my soul, comfort food. Grant, my favorite restaurant in the House of Prime Rib on Van Ness. Have you been there? I have not been to the House of Prime Rib. Thank you, Patrick. We miss you here in Sacramento. Miss your commentary. I don't believe that KD's game is much better than DeMar. I don't really know how to answer that, other than I disagree with you. You know, we talk not to switch because we talk about comfort food, right? I wonder, like, how you define. I know how some people define comfort food, but isn't it amazing the difference of opinion in likes and dislikes when it comes to food? We all have different palates and different restaurant tastes, likes and dislikes. I mean, it's amazing. I've got a friend when I go to Thailand who lives in Bangkok. He's a retired CIA individual. He's been living in Bangkok for 9 years. And we very rarely agree on what's good and what's not when it comes to food. He's very critical of food choices. Like I'll go to a restaurant, I'll go, man, the food there was so great, you got to try it. And then he'll go there, I didn't like it at all. Like it happens all the time. And I'm like, how is that possible? I mean, I've just wondered that. How's that possible? And I say this in all due respect. I love Bennett's and I love their food. And again, I'm not saying this because they're a sponsor. I mean this. I've never gone to Bennett's and ordered anything that I thought was subpar or I didn't like. Now, to be honest with you, are there some things I like more than others? Yes, but it's not because I don't like certain items that I've had. And I'm sure there's been an individual or two that's gone there and have not cared for it. I would think they're few and far between. But like you can go online and look at reviews, and you might see 100 reviews, right? And you might have 95 5-star reviews, but you always get these idiots that leave 1 star or 2 stars because they're upset that whatever. Their fork on their napkin was pointed on an angle, or they're you know what I mean? Like they're never happy. So when I look at reviews, whether it's for travel or food, restaurants, I don't really pay attention to the negative reviews. If you have a lot of reviews and the vast majority are 5 stars and you get 1 or 2 with 1 stars, those are just miserable, unhappy people. I don't even pay attention to that. Would I want to coach the Kings? No, I would not. Would you? What percentage do I think Doug will be hired as the coach if I had to bet? I would say 98%. 98. Were any Kings players good bowlers that I knew of? You know, Cody, we used to have, not we, Vladdy and Peja used to have a bowling tournament every year. And there were a couple guys that were pretty good, but off the top of my head, I just can't remember, but there were some. Too many snobs out there who only go by the Michelin star. That's very true. No, Stanley, I've not heard from Stanley. Chris, I don't know where Stanley is. Grant, if DC is not the coach, do any of these names pique your interest? Jerry Stackhouse, Nate McMillan, Bobby Jackson, Steve Nash. I love Nate McMillan. I've always been a Nate McMillan fan. And I like Bobby, and I think he can be a head coach. In this situation, I don't know if I would hire him because for the same reason why I wouldn't hire Doug, you're not in a position right now where you can guess on whether a coach is going to be good or not. You just can't. You can't, in my opinion. You're not in that position right now. You know? Is DeRozan's career over as a King now with his personal troubles coming up? No. First of all, I don't think he did really anything wrong in terms of, I think that was just a pure money grab. And I think he might get a slap on his hand and have to pay some money and have it go away. But that doesn't deter anything to me. I think that The Kings right now are in a position where their fan base is shaken. And I got to tell you, I did a poll on X, and I had about 2,000 people respond, 62% of whom said they don't want Doug as coach. I did an informal poll here a couple days ago, and it was 95% no, we don't want Doug back as coach. I mean, not everyone's on board with this. As a matter of fact, I think more than half the fan base is not on board with this. It's not a great way to start the tenure for Scott Perry. Just not. And we know that Scott didn't hire Doug, assuming that Doug's the guy, but it's just not a good way to start. That's why I said I'm so skeptical about this whole thing. Like, how can you have confidence? Like, if you're Vivek Ranadive and you really want to instill confidence in your fan base, then Doug Christie can't be your coach. If you really want to instill confidence in your fan base, you have to let Scott Perry hire his own coach. And if Doug takes a hit for that, so be it, but that's the way it is. And then you give Doug another, you give him a nice position in the organization. I've already said what I would do. I would hire Doug as the TV analyst, and I would let him be in the player development role because he loves going to practice anyway. And he can go to practice on the road and at home. He can still be involved with the team, and he can be the TV analyst. And I would give him a very nice salary to make him happy. I wouldn't fire Doug. I wouldn't get rid of him. But that's what I would do. If you really want to make the fan base happy, put Doug back on TV and let him have a player development role, and go out and let Scott Perry have the control to hire who he wants. That would instill some confidence in this fan base. Are you really going to instill confidence in the fan base when Scott Perry gets up on the podium tomorrow at 10 o'clock and says Doug Christie is our head coach? Huh? What would that do for you? You're going to roll your eyes, right? And you're going to look at Vivek. You're going to go, well, once again, Vivek's hiring the coach instead of the general manager. Seriously. Grant Napier, Tom Brenneman, Glenn Kuiper all need to be rehired. Thank you very much. Glenn Kuiper clearly needs to be rehired. What happened to Glenn Kuiper is a travesty. It's a disgrace. And it's beyond comprehension to me. Well, it's not beyond comprehension to me because I went through it too. It's a joke. It's a joke. So Scott Perry took this job even though Vivek has all the control. You know why? Because Scott Perry needed a job, wanted a job, and is getting paid a lot of money. That's why. I think Taylor Jenkins would be a great coach in Sacramento. Yes, no more Katie. I think Taylor Jenkins would be excellent as long as he and Scott Perry can work together. My ideas, says Flores, are too rational for Vivek. That's very true. They are. They are. Very, very true. I can't disagree with you there. Hey, Sunrise Landing in Calusa. Check it out. Beautiful residential community in Calusa. CalusaSunrise.com will get you all the information from this Blue Zona development project. Remember, there's no Melrose and no homeowners. 6 models in all to choose from, various lot sizes. Make sure you get to CalusaSunrise.com and check out everything with Sunrise Landing in Calusa. Don't forget, tomorrow, I will be here at 8 o'clock with Rhino, and we will break down everything that Scott Perry had to say. If I win the lottery, Grant, I'm going to buy the Kings, and you will be my play-by-play man, and I will pay you handsomely, my friend. Thank you, Chris. I am really rooting for you to get the 6 numbers correct. What do I think about Davion Mitchell and his play in Miami? He's been tremendous for Miami since they acquired him. He's been really, really good. Top 8 teams in the West, except Memphis, aren't going anywhere. Blazers and Spurs will get better too. I don't think the Kings will make the playoffs next year. I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. I'm not so sure about Memphis. I mean, it all depends what they do with Morant and everything else, but I wouldn't just automatically. They got some nice pieces there. They have some nice pieces there. I don't know. I think Denver's obviously a playoff team. Minnesota, the Clippers are a team I don't know about. They got a lot of age on that team. Be interesting to see what they do in the offseason. Jay Drew says, I've been watching the games and listening to the game on the radio. I think that's true of a lot of people. What do you think of the game going on right now in LA? They're at halftime, right? Let me see what the score is now. 58-43, Lakers at the break. 58-43. Would I trade Sabonis for Jaren Jackson Jr.? No, I would not. Jerry made a good point earlier today when he was on with Rhino. The one thing you got to remember about Sabonis is he is one of the top centers in the league, regardless of where you put him. And if you're going to get rid of him, who are you going to get that's better? You might have someone that's different, but are they better? And Jerry also made a good point. In the history of the Kings franchise, going back to Rochester when they were the Royals, and Cincinnati and Kansas City, Domantas Sabonis is the best center the franchise has ever had. So if you want to send him off, you better understand that you're probably going to get somebody that's not as good as him. So keep that in mind. If Scott Perry had 100% control and Vivek stepped away, do I think he could turn this team around in the right direction? It's a great question. Based on his track record, I would say no, but I would say he'd have a much better chance. And I like Scott. I'm rooting for Scott. I like him. I like Scott Perry. Sabonis to New York for Josh Hart and Anunoby would be nice. Be nice. I don't disagree with that. But the Knicks would never make that deal. It's difficult to watch other NBA teams succeed when our team is in turmoil. It's shameful and embarrassing, especially teams that were behind you, that leapfrogged over you like that, like Houston, like Oklahoma City, just to name two. 1 and 2 in the West that jumped over you like a speeding bullet, right? Oklahoma City was the Sacramento Kings 3 years ago. 2 years ago. 2 seasons ago. Now look at Oklahoma City. Houston was not even in your neighborhood 2 years ago. Look at them now. That's what's frustrating. San Antonio's coming up in your rearview mirror. Portland's coming up. And what happens if the Utah Jazz get the first, second, or third pick? Right? Think about that. Man, that's what's frustrating. That's what's frustrating. And again, I go back to my opening comments here on the show. There's no faith in the Sacramento fan base about the Kings organization because of their owner. It's just amazing. It's just amazing. There's no hope because of the owner. And that's sad, you know? Man. Chris says, I will always have a heart for Vivek. He did save our team. With that said, he is by far the worst owner in all of professional sports, and I am sick and tired of being the laughingstock of the NBA. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't know if he's the worst owner in all of sports because I don't know of all the owners in sports, but he's in the conversation. You can't have the conversation and not mention his name. Just can't. Why are the sports news and other media not trashing the Sacramento Kings ownership more than they should? Well, they are. The national media is. Did you see Brian Windhorst on ESPN the other day? Just to name one. The national media, the local media is not, because the local media is too afraid. They're too vanilla. Tony says Vivek needs to step down and realize he's hurting the team. It's not going to happen. It's a question that I get a lot. What team or teams do I think would be a good trade partner for DeRozan? I would have no way of knowing that, but he's a guy that teams would want. I mean, he is somebody that you could trade, right? That you could trade. One thing you don't want to do is trade your plumber for, if you have New Works Plumbing, you keep them because they're good. And I want to just say thank you again. I just received another email yesterday from a viewer that said they used New Works Plumbing for the first time and they were great, and thank you. And I thank you, and New Works Plumbing thanks you. They're awesome. Got the number on your screen, sackserviceplumbing.com, or go to newworksplumbing.com, NEWWRXplumbing.com. New Works Plumbing, they've got a fix for you. They are absolutely awesome. Once again, New Works Plumbing, they've got a fix for you. Keep those messages coming along right here, and don't forget, tomorrow at 8 o'clock, I'll be right here with Rhino, and we'll break down Scott Perry's press conference. Why is it so hard that you said Vivek wants to win, yet he doesn't change his approach year after year? Well, I don't know of an owner that really doesn't want to win. All owners want to win. It's just a matter of what do they do to help the organization win. Even John Fisher would like the A's to win, but he if you asked him if he wants to win, of course he would say yes. I mean, that's just the way it is. I'm going to call them because I need to get my house repaired, and the city of Roseville is upset about my leaking water. Give them a call. Tell them that you saw the ad on my podcast. If you don't like that on the live show, they'll take care of you. Tell them I said hello. Said Armored Plumbing owes me $150 credit, and they're not going to pay me because it's not towards in the main line, so I'm out 100. I'm sorry about that, man. I'm sorry you're out $150. I'm sorry. I can answer that. As an Indian like Vivek, we have a lot of pride, which can be both good and bad. I don't even know how to answer that other than I would say this. When you buy a team in a city, you have a responsibility as an owner to try and put a good product on the floor, on the field, wherever the case may be. If you are an owner and the fans are very supportive of your franchise, you have a larger responsibility to put a good product, in this case, on the court. If you are an owner, let's say like in Charlotte or in Oakland, and the fans don't come to your games, then as an owner, I give you a pass. Because your fan base is not supporting you, even though you're putting a good product out on the court or the field. And if you put a good product out on the field or the court and fans don't come, then I'm going to give you a pass if you decide you're not going to spend your money. But if you have a fan base that's supportive, that spends their money, and you still keep on doing your business the same way, at some point the fans are going to give you the middle finger and they're not going to come anymore. And you've got no one to blame but yourself, and you've got nowhere to point fingers at other than yourself. That's the reality. That's the reality. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. I mean, it's just the way it is. Here's one from Jeffrey. Hey, everybody, let's listen to Grant spend the whole hour doing commercials. Hey, Jeffrey, let me explain something to you, since you obviously have a brain about the size of a freaking pea right there. See that little pea? That's your brain, Jeffrey. That's your brain. Jeffrey, let me explain something to you real quick. The other folks here understand this. I don't have an employer. I am my boss. For all intents and purposes, and I'm not including Ryan here, I'm a one-man band, two-man band when I do shows with Ryan and all the work he does behind the scenes. But how am I going to pay my bills, Jeffrey? Like, how am I going to live, Jeffrey, if I don't make an income? Probably you would need people to sponsor you. Oh, yes, Jeffrey, that's right. So I have some great sponsors, Jeffrey, and they pay money, and I talk about them on the show. Like, Jeffrey, let me explain something to you, since your brain is the size of a pea. When you watch the Kings games, or you watch the football games, or any games, when they take a timeout, do they stay at the site of the event, or do they go to a commercial, Jeffrey? Whether it's a beer commercial, a car commercial, airlines, food, what do they do, Jeffrey? Oh, that's right. They run ads. Why do they do that? To pay the bills, to pay the TV production, to pay the announcers, to pay the owners who are paying their players. Do you understand that, Jeffrey? Just curious. Wow. There are morons in every sector of society. Incredible. Grant's rant. That was a gentle rant. That was an easy rant. But I'll tell you what, I can do a rant that's a real rant if you want. Jeffrey's too young to buy beer. Maybe. If he's young, then I apologize. Come on, Jeffrey. Jeez. Jeffrey, send Grant 500 for that stupid comment. Oh, my gosh. Grant, what was the biggest mistake that the Kings made within the last year that put us back in this situation? There's just not one mistake. It's a combination of mistakes. That's for sure. Man. Should I do another advertisement read, or just to like irk Jeffrey, or should I wait a couple of minutes? Unfreaking believable. Seriously. Jeffrey, make sure you go to Bennett's and tell them I said hi, all right? Because they're a big sponsor of the show, and people that have gone to Bennett's love it, and you probably will too. Make sure that you tell them that you love Grant Napier, because he never says anything bad about you. Podcast 101 by Grant. It's called Common Sense. It's not Podcast 101 by Grant. It's Common Sense 101 by Grant. Oh, my gosh. Grant Vlade said he had a better deal in place prior to trading DeMarcus Cousins to New Orleans. Do you know what that better deal was? Yeah, I sure do. Yes, that deal did not materialize the way it was originally constructed, because the owner decided to pause and think about it longer. And then when Vlade went back to the Pelicans, they said our offer that we told you about 4 hours ago is not on the table anymore. Kings should have kept Davion Mitchell. Well, I'll say this. Devin Carter better be pretty damn good, because Davion Mitchell has developed into a pretty good player, and Devin Carter's not in Davion Mitchell's neighborhood right now. Can I do this show later? The Lakers-Wolves game is on. You know, the beauty of this show is you can watch it whenever you want because you don't have to watch it live. We've gone over this ad nauseum. All right. I've talked about this 100 times, Chris, about why the Kings drafted Bagley instead of Luka. Yes, the deal was still with New Orleans. That is correct. What's my all-time favorite Kings player? That would be Vlade Divac. Vlade Divac, Spud Webb, Reggie Theus, Scott Pollard, and probably, this is so hard for me because I did it for 32 years, Wayman Tisdale or Danny Ainge. But Vlade number one, Spud is in the top 5, Scott's in the top 5. Could 4 and 5 could be like 15 or 20 different guys. Reggie, I love Reggie. Mitchell and Ellis backcourt would be a great backcourt to build on. It would be definitely better than it is now. Spud Webb's Grant's favorite Kings player. He's one of my favorite players, yes. Love Spud. Dear friend of mine, love him. Would do anything for Spud. Love Spud. I could talk about Spud for hours. What a great person he is. Weber. No, definitely not Weber. Chris Webber's a fraud. Vlade, the ultimate flopper. He did flop a little bit, you know. What was Ron Artest like? Great guy. Love Ron. Ron, great guy. I have so much respect for him. Ron was like a little kid in a man's body. That's what Ron was like. He was like a kid in a man's body. But I love Ron. He had a heart of gold. Such a compassionate guy. As a player and as a person, 2 different individuals. But I love Ron Artest. Love the guy. I mean, I really do. Love him. Before I die, all I want is one Sacramento Kings championship. That's not asking too much. Good luck. Hope you live a long, long time. Do I think the Kings fans will start booing next season more often if the Kings continue their mediocre play? 100%. Would I ever take another job in the NBA? It depends. I can't say yes and I can't say no. It depends. It depends. Hey, Jeffrey, listen up. This is for you, Jeffrey. All right? Jeffrey, are you listening up? Are you still with me? Jeffrey? Jeffrey, are you there? Let me know, Jeffrey. Because I want to tell you about Connor with Element Mortgage. Jeffrey, do you own a home? Are you looking to buy a home, Jeffrey? Are you looking to sell your home, perhaps? Do you want somebody you can trust, Jeffrey? Do you want someone with a lot of experience, like the team behind him with over 100 years experience, Jeffrey? Then I'm going to tell you something. You see that QR code right there, Jeffrey? That's what you want. Jeffrey, if you don't know how to do the QR code like so many others like me, 916-505-1006, Jeffrey. Get in touch with Connor and tell him that you saw a spot, the advertisement on Grant Napier's If You Don't Like That. And then talk to him about sports and the Kings because he loves the Kings. He's from Sacramento. And here's something else, Jeffrey. When you make a major purchase like a home, you want someone that's experienced and that you can trust, as I said before. That's Connor. Element Mortgage. Jeffrey, let me give you that number again, all right? 916-505-1006. Do you have that, Jeffrey? That's just for you, buddy. That's just for you. You still with me, Jeffrey? There we have it. Do I remember Beno Udrih? Of course I remember Beno. I love Beno. Good friend of his. Jerry popped in the troll Grant, then bounced. Ah, man, he's not there anymore. Bummer. Bummer. I was hoping Jeffrey would be there to see that. Jeffrey can't afford a house, Grant. How do I know that? How do I know that? I don't know that. How would I know whether Jeffrey? I don't know anything about Jeffrey, you know? Let me see if that has the game started yet. Did you see Luka outscored the Timberwolves in the first quarter by himself? You know, the Timberwolves are in this game. It's 62-51, 7:40 left to go in the third. Again, do not forget, tomorrow, 8 o'clock, Rhino will be with me, and we will be going over Scott Perry's press conference. That's tomorrow, right here on If You Don't Like That. If the New York Giants pass on Sanders, will we be upset? No, not at all. I'm making Jeffrey famous. No, I don't think so. Jeffrey, you are here. How are you, buddy? Jeffrey, you going to call Connor? What do you think, Jeffrey? You going to go to Bennett's, Jeffrey? Jeffrey, you need a plumber. Don't forget about New Works Plumbing, all right? Jeffrey, if you're looking to move, Sunrise Landing and Calusa's for you, buddy. You need to buy a car, Jeffrey? Don't forget about EDH Motors, Automotive Reimagined. Jeffrey, you need to sell a car? EDH Motors, Automotive Reimagined in the El Dorado Hills Town Center in El Dorado Hills. Jeffrey, I'm trying to help you, man. I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to make your life easier with reputable businesses who you can trust. That's what I do, Jeffrey. I should do some Bowling Green games live on YouTube. I miss watching you call games. It wouldn't be Bowling Green, I can tell you that. Oh, gosh. Come on now. I'm going to do Bowling Green games on YouTube. Come on. Let's get serious here for a minute, would you please? I mean, come on. Oh, yeah, Corliss Williamson is one of my favorite Kings players. I thought he played with pride and heart, especially that last season he was with us. I've never met anybody that doesn't feel that way about Corliss. Corliss would be in my top 20 favorite Kings of all time. I'm glad you mentioned him. Yeah, he would be top 20. Lionel Simmons would be top 20. But Corliss, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. No question. Good. Thank you for bringing his name up. What a great guy. Great guy. Jeffrey's going to have commercial nightmares. Oh. Jeffrey is probably a Vivek fan. Jeffrey, are you a fan of the Kings owner, Vivek Ranadive? Wayman Tisdale. I already talked about Wayman. He's my top 5. Love Tizzy. Great human being. We lost him way too soon. Love that man. Such a phenomenal human being. Forget about basketball player. Just a phenomenal person. His whole family. Just phenomenal guy. So glad Big Nasty got paid. Me too. Big Nasty, man, he was great. My older brother, Rajan, believes that Wemby, Anthony Edwards, and Jason Tatum will be the next face of the NBA after LeBron and Steph retire. Wemby for sure. Don't know about Anthony Edwards. Tatum maybe too. Yeah, could very well be. And, you know, if Shai Gilgeous-Alexander wins the championship and gets put on center stage, he might be too. Did I call the game when Kevin Martin hit the game winner over Tim Duncan in the 2006 playoffs? Yes, I was on television. Yeah, Reggie is in my top 5. Reggie's top 5. I love Reggie. Clearly. Love Reggie Theus. I used to hang out with Reggie and Harold Presley on Arden Way at a place called Confetti's. It was the only place to go in all of Sacramento, or TGIF Fridays was the only place to eat. That was it. Go to Fridays and then Confetti's. Yeah, those were some days back in the 80s. Man. This is a good question. What player made the biggest impact on you on or off the court when I first joined the Kings? Reggie would be the guy. He clearly had the biggest impact on me because he took me in as a friend, didn't have any bias towards me because I was some young kid announcing the games. So I would say Reggie was one. Harold Presley was another. I love Harold. Great guy. Joe Klein was another. Joe's one of my top 20 favorite Kings of all time. Love Joe Klein. But Reggie was special. Reggie had a personality of, he was extremely outgoing, funny, always laughing. Love Reggie. I've never interviewed Magic Johnson. No, I have not. I can see Reggie rocking a Reggie suit. Reggie was always dressed to the nines. I'll tell you a funny story about that. 1987, the year before I did the Kings, I am sitting next to Tom Curran at the Arco Arena 1, 10,333. And I'm sitting next to Tom Curran, who then was the Kings television announcer, who we just lost. What a great man. Dear friend of mine. And we're standing. National anthem is playing. And Tom starts laughing next to me. And Reggie Theus is standing right to our left, but he's not playing. He's injured. And he's in this like light green leisure suit. And Tom just is laughing during the national anthem. And Reggie kind of sees Tom laughing, staring at him. And Tom kind of says to me, "Could you imagine us wearing something like that? We would be the laughing stock of wherever we are. But Reggie looks great." And so the national anthem ends, and Reggie comes over, says, "What the hell is so funny?" And Tom goes, "I was just telling Grant, if we wore something like that, we would be ridiculed. We'd be the laughing stock of the world. But you, perfect." And Reggie got a real kick out of that. That's how Reggie was. And Reggie just has one of the most great, incredible laughs of anyone I've ever been around. When Reggie Theus laughs, you laugh because it's just classic. I never have interviewed or talked to Michael Jordan. No. I love Jay Will. Great. How is Brad Miller off the court? Just a big old country boy. Give me a beer and give me my hunting rifle and I'll be fine. So, yeah, those were great days. Don't forget tomorrow, 8 o'clock right here, Rhino in Sacktown. We will go over Scott Perry's press conference. It's interesting. Did Reggie Theus like moving from Kansas City to Sacramento? Believe it or not, yes, because he's a California boy. So he was closer to LA. I mean, prime California for Reggie. Get him out of, he did like coming to the West Coast and California. John Reinhardt should step down. No, he shouldn't. John Reinhardt is great. Why would you say that? Why would you make a comment like that John Reinhardt should step down? Why would you say that? Like, just out of the blue, I'm curious. Why would you make a comment like that? John Reinhardt is a great executive and a great person. I don't know why you would make a comment like that. Did I know from the first game that you and Jerry were going to be special? You guys defined a generation. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. No. When I first started working with Jerry, he was very raw, and I had to teach him a lot. And Jerry was a very fast learner. And it wasn't really for a few years before I knew that this was going to be a really special run. And that's only based on the reaction I was getting from the fans. I've never once really judged myself. I've never felt that I should judge myself because I'm in the quote unquote entertainment industry. And I let the people that watch and listen do the constructive constructive criticism, applaud, boo, like, dislike, approve, disapprove. I can't do that. I can't do that. I let you decide whether you like what you're watching and listening to. I can't say, well, gee, I'm great. You need to listen to me. That's nonsense, right? I've always let the fans do that. That's the industry that I'm in. Plain and simple. Did the Maloofs ever contact you after selling the team? Yes, very often. Said, sorry, I was not aware of Reinhart. I just find it frustrating because ever since he became president in 27, or well, it was way before 2017, it hasn't worked in Golden One Center for winning basketball. John's been with the organization for decades. John Reinhart is very valuable, and I'm bothered that you would bring his name up in that fashion without knowing. It's inappropriate, and like, it's wrong. You don't make comments without knowing. You just don't. Yes, I still talk to Gary Gerald. Yes. There's no chance for any of you. And by the way, you said sorry, and I accept your apology. No problem. Michael Malone would never work for Vivek Ranadive again. Never. Never. Seriously. Never. Absolutely never. I enjoyed the radio show most. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's why I love doing this show. It's like doing a radio show. Like doing a radio show. All right. Tomorrow, 8 o'clock, right here, Rhino joins me. Scott Perry presser recap. Your phone calls. That's coming up tomorrow, right here, if you don't like that. I think Rhino's doing a show much earlier. So, again, if you have not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. You'll know when the shows are on. You don't even have to worry about it. Just subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything. You're not going to get hassled. Subscribe to the channel and give us a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate that. Jeffrey, don't forget about Bennett's and all the other great sponsors of this show. Tell them thank you, Jeffrey. Tell them thank you, buddy. Talk to you tomorrow. So long, everybody. Bye-bye now.